Introduction, Navigating the Currents of Change. Imagine trying to build a sandcastle as the tide is coming in. You work furiously, packing the sand into intricate towers and walls, only to watch the relentless waves dissolve your creation. Moments later you could respond in two ways. You could build a rigid, fortified sea wall, fighting the ocean with all your might, a battle you are guaranteed to lose, or, you could learn to work with the water. You could design structures that channel the flow, create beautiful patterns that the tide enhances, and learn the rhythm of the waves to know when to build and when to step back and observe. The modern work environment is that incoming tide. The currents of technological disruption, economic shifts, and global interconnectedness are constant and powerful. For decades, leadership was often modeled on the sea wall, strong, imposing, static, and designed for stability in a predictable world. But in a world of flux, rigidity is not strength, it is the greatest risk. A wall that cannot bend will break. This book is for those who choose to become the water, not the wall. The new normal, Why Rigidity is the Greatest Risk. We have entered an era where change is not an occasional disruption but the very fabric of our professional lives. The new normal is, by definition, abnormal, a state of perpetual evolution. Organizations that cling to outdated 5-year plans, rigid hierarchical structures, and a single, proven leadership style are finding themselves left behind. They are the sandcastles at war with the ocean. The risk is no longer just failure to grow, it is obsolescence. Blockbuster was rigid, Netflix was fluid, Kodak was rigid, the smartphone was fluid. The greatest threat to any organization today is not making a wrong decision, but being incapable of making a new decision quickly enough. This book argues that the paramount leadership skill for the 21st century is no longer sheer force of will or unwavering conviction, but a different kind of strength altogether, the strength to adapt, to pivot, and to flow. Introducing the dual framework, flexible leadership and water mind. To thrive in this environment, we need a new framework, a dual approach that marries practical skill with profound mindset. This book introduces the synergy of flexible leadership and water mind. Flexible leadership is the external competency, it is the tangible, learnable skill set of adapting your strategy, your operations, and your interpersonal approach to meet the demands of the moment. It's about having a toolkit of leadership styles and knowing which one to use, whether a situation calls for a decisive commander, a collaborative coach, or a visionary innovator. It is the what and the how of adaptive action. Water mind is the internal foundation, it is the mental and emotional state from which flexible leadership naturally emerges. Drawing from ancient Eastern philosophies, water mind is the practice of cultivating resilience, clarity, and calmness amidst chaos. Like water, it is formless, able to fit any container, situation, it encounters. It does not resist obstacles, it flows around them, finds a new path, and wears down resistance through persistent, gentle pressure. It is the why and the who, the state of being from which effective doing flows together. They form a complete system. Flexible leadership without water mind is just tactical maneuvering, it can become reactive and stressful. Water mind without flexible leadership is passive contemplation, it lacks the drive to manifest in the real world. But when combined, they create leaders who are both deeply centered and powerfully effective, who can navigate uncertainty not with anxiety, but with grace and strategic intent. How this book will guide your transformation. This book is designed as a journey from the inside out. We will begin by dismantling the myth of the inflexible leader and exploring the core philosophies of fluidity. We will then dive into the practical toolkit of flexible leadership, providing frameworks for strategic pivots, operational agility, and nuanced interpersonal leadership. Following that, we will focus on cultivating your inner water mind, developing the mental resilience and intuitive clarity required to lead without burning out. Finally, we will bring it all together, providing a blueprint for instilling this adaptive DNA into your teams and your entire organization's culture. Each chapter includes real-world case studies, reflective exercises, and actionable strategies you can implement immediately. The goal is not to give you one more rigid model to follow, it is to empower you to develop your own authentic, adaptive style, to become a leader who is strong in your values yet flexible in your methods, clear in your vision yet responsive to the landscape. It is an invitation to stop fighting the current and to start learning how to flow with it, to harness its power, and to navigate a course toward lasting success and fulfillment. Chapter 2, The Philosophy of Water Mind. Water is the softest thing, yet it can penetrate mountains and earth. This shows clearly the principle of softness overcoming hardness. Lao Tzu, Tao Te Ching. If flexible leadership is the what, then water mind is the how, and, more importantly, the who. It is the foundational mindset that makes flexible action not just a strategic choice, but a natural expression of who you are as a leader. This chapter delves into the ancient wellspring of this philosophy, extracts its core principles, and translates them into a practical mental framework for the modern workplace. Ancient wisdom for modern problems, lessons from Taoism and Eastern philosophy. The concept of water mind, Shu Xn, finds its roots in Taoism, an ancient Chinese philosophy that emphasizes living in harmony with the natural flow of life, known as the Tao, the way. The Tao is not a rigid set of rules, but a universal process of constant, fluid change. To the Taoist sages, water was the perfect metaphor for the ideal way of being in the world. They observed that water, though seemingly soft and yielding, is ultimately unstoppable. It does not waste energy fighting force with force. Instead, it adapts to the terrain, seeks the lowest point, a symbol of humility, and over time, shapes the very landscape through its persistent, gentle action. In a business context, we are often taught to be the rock, steadfast, immovable, and strong. There is a time for this, but the Taoist philosophy asks, why be the rock that is eventually worn away by the river, when you can be the water itself? The rock represents rigid resistance, the water represents intelligent adaptation. This ancient wisdom provides a desperately needed antidote to the stress, burnout, and frustration that come from constantly battling the inevitable currents of change. Key principles: fluidity, resilience, and formlessness. We can distill the philosophy of water mind into three core principles. 1. Fluidity, Lu. This is the principle of continuous movement and adaptability. Fluid water does not cling to a single form or path. It is dynamic and responsive. For a leader, fluidity means letting go of attachment to a specific plan, ego, or desired outcome. It is the ability to process new information and change course without internal drama or self-recrimination. A fluid mind is a learning mind. 2. Resilience, Rengzing water embodies profound resilience. You can divide it, strike it, or dam it, but it always reunites, finds a crack to seep through, or waits patiently for the dam to break. It cannot be truly defeated. Leadership resilience, therefore, is not about being tough and unfeeling. It is the capacity to be shocked, pressed, or even knocked down, to feel the impact and then to naturally return to your purpose and continue forward, just as water resumes its flow. 3. Formlessness, Wuxing. This is the most powerful principle. Water has no permanent shape of its own, it takes the shape of its container. In leadership, formlessness is the ultimate strategic advantage. It means your identity is not tied to a specific title, role, or way of doing things. You can be a strategist in one meeting, a coach in the next, and a student right after. You are defined not by your form, but by your essence, your core values and intention. This allows you to fit the needs of any situation perfectly. Water mind in practice, flowing around obstacles, not against them. How does this look in a typical workday? Consider a critical project that has just hit a major, unexpected regulatory hurdle. The rigid leader's response might be, fight. They might rage against the regulation, blame the legal team, and insist on pushing the original plan forward, wasting immense resources on a futile battle. The leader with a water mind responds differently. Flow. They first pause to observe and accept the obstacle without judgment. This is the new reality. They then ask, how can we adapt? They might explore going under, finding a loophole, over, appealing the regulation, around, adjusting the project scope, or even waiting, letting the situation develop further. The energy is not expended on resistance but on creative navigation. The obstacle is no longer a stop sign, it becomes a detour that might even lead to a better, unforeseen destination. Cultivating a mindset of calm awareness and adaptive response. Water mind is not a personality trait you are born with, it is a practice you cultivate. It begins with developing calm awareness, the ability to observe your thoughts, emotions, and external circumstances without being immediately swept away by them. When you receive stressful news, instead of reacting from a place of fear or anger, the rock hitting the water, you learn to create a moment of space, the water absorbing the impact. In that space, you can choose your response. This is the difference between reaction, automatic, rigid, and response, considered, adaptive. Practical ways to cultivate this daily include: mindful pauses. Before responding to a provocation, take one deep breath. This simple act creates the necessary space, non-attachment to ideas. Practice prefixing your suggestions with one idea is instead of the plan is. This linguistically reinforces fluidity. The observer meditation. Spend a few minutes daily simply watching your thoughts like leaves floating down a river, without grabbing onto them. This builds the mental muscle of calm awareness. By integrating the philosophy of water-mind, you stop seeing yourself as a separate entity battling the world and start seeing yourself as part of the flow, capable of moving with it, learning from it, and gently guiding your team through it. You begin to lead not from a place of strain, but from a place of effortless action, what the Taoists called Wu Wei. The following chapters will provide the specific tools you need to execute from this powerful state of being. Chapter 3, The Synergy of Structure and Flow. The wise man is shapeless, like water. He adopts the form of